So, the story of why I got this thing all started with a Japanese martial artist who strangled a bunch of kids because they didn't want to buy a Sega Saturn, who then fell in love with the predecessor of this machine's pilot. No, I'm not making this up. Segata. As always, this kit was of course provided to me by my favorite online hobby store, Hobbling Japan, links to buy your own down below, and as far as the box art is concerned, you're definitely gonna want to do just that. We've got an action pose with an explosion in the background, and with the effect at the bottom, it really makes the Obu jump out. And on the sides, things only get better. There's an opening cockpit, and even though the machine looks quite chonky, thanks to some extension mechanisms, this thing still looks like it's going to be pretty damn poseable. And on the other side, we get some more information on the machine and its pilot. The Spiricle Striker prototype Obu was a powerful, one-of-a-kind machine that featured a two Spiricle superchargers, making it capable of achieving an excessive amount of output, but at the cost of being difficult to handle. Something that only its pilot, Sakura Amamiya, was able to do. She is the newest member of the titular Imperial Combat Review Flower Division, and will do whatever she can to follow in the footsteps of the previous star of the Flower Division, Sakura Shinguji, the one that I mentioned in the beginning. However, before we even open the box, I would like to point one thing out. Judging by the images, this thing has the color separation of a real grade, but it is part of the high grade line. Ah yes, while it is understandable, people who don't like stickers might want to stay far, far, far away from this kit. That being said though, as you can already tell on the A, B, and C runners, detail definitely isn't something that this kit is lacking. The pink also has a really nice satin-like finish that is very pleasing to the eyes. The golden D runners then are more meh. I've seen worse and I've seen better, but it does the job. Then we have the grey ENF runners, the G1 runner for Sakura herself, and a polycap runner that should look very familiar to any Gunpla builder. And then finally, the stickers. We have some water slide marking and eye stickers, a really nice jewel sticker for the eye sensor, and that giant sticker sheet. So let's quickly forget about that by leafing through that very nice looking manual. In typical Bandai fashion, we don't just get instructions, but also some more information on both the pilot and the mech that she's piloting. And when it's all put together, this very interesting looking machine is the result, and the first thing that you'll probably notice is that I didn't use nearly all of the included stickers. And that is for the simple reason that I thought it already looked nice enough as is, and, well, also because some of them needed to be applied to some pretty curved areas. The ones that I did apply then are all the white ones on the backpack, including these 2 white and gold stickers, 3 gray stickers on each arm, and a bunch of gray ones on the legs. And if you think that I missed one gray sticker, well, that one is actually printed together with the race stripe that runs across the leg. So rather than applying all of the race stripes, I just left it off. But after all of that stickering, if you choose to do so, the Obu itself is actually mostly color accurate, with just some gray necessary for these bolts on the legs, this part of the wing, and this part of the exhaust pipe. So credit where credit is due. Which then means that even straight out of the box, I do still really like this. Yes, it does require a lot of stickers, but it is also just a high grade. Although, I will admit that for the price, 5,300 yen, like 45 US, and the size, having some of those gray stickers as parts instead, or the gold parts be coated with undergating, would have been highly appreciated. On to the accessories and gimmicks then, and do not expect this to be making up for the high price, because Sakura Wars isn't known for mechs that are armed to the teeth. Quite the opposite really. We just get a mech-sized katana and scabbard, and dear god, I hope you like painting. What I do really like then is how the scabbard attaches to the side skirts. On many kits you have this unsightly hole that just screams, I'm a toy and something is supposed to go here. But with the Obu, when you remove the scabbard, you can cover up the hole with this extra piece. And if you want to, you can also hook it up to the right side skirt, meaning that if you buy two, you can equip it with two katanas. Quite literally, doubling its arsenal. To attach it to the hands then, we have this giant peg, and by turning the handle around, the Obu can also hold it with the left hand. And other than that, the only other thing that it comes with is a connector to hook it up to either an action base number 4 or number 1, sold separately. And for a kit that has trouble standing up by design, you might just want to get one of those. So on to the articulation, and definitely one of the coolest features here is the opening cockpit. The Mohawk might require some parts forming, but it is very functional. And especially if you paint the Sakura figure inside, it'll also look really good. What is less good then are the shoulders. They'll go backwards and disconnect, forwards on an extra hinge joint and disconnect, and they'll rotate around and disconnect. At least this makes it easier to show off the rest of the arm's articulation. The shoulder armor goes up and down and rotates around on a little ball joint, the arms rotate around and have a cool extendable feature on the elbow joint to give it that little bit extra articulation. And then the hands are on ball joints, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. And even though the fingers might look movable, they don't move at all, or well, at least not by design, nor do we get any actiony hands to replace them. The waist then is on a simple peg, but it doesn't really rotate a whole lot due to the design of the machine itself, something that the legs also suffer from to a certain extent. These exhaust-esque box things do move a whole lot and also disconnect on their ball joints, giving the legs some good forwards movement, but both the backwards and the sideways movement is on the more limited side. The legs will also rotate around, and on the knees we have another one of those extending gimmicks, except here's what usually happens when you try to extend them. But fear not. The trick is to push down on the sides really hard as you extend it. And then finally the feet are on a hinge and ball joint combo for very limited forwards and backwards movement, sideways movement, and rotation. And finally, the best articulated things on this kit are without a doubt the wings. They can be stored up or extended for more dynamic looking poses. And while that was meant as a compliment for the wings, it does say a lot about the articulation of the rest of this kit. While I appreciate the engineering that Bandai put into those extendable limbs, that is the best I can say about them. Without an action base, the amount of poses you can pull off is extremely limited, and even with one, it is still limited. Not to mention how much of a pain it is to pose in the first place. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And well, the Obu does do the most important thing that it should do. It looks good, even straight out of the box. Whether you want to paint it up for an even better look or violate it with the stickers is up to you. It also comes with the accessories that it should, and it has some cool gimmicks. Better articulation would have been nice as well, but there is only so much you can do with a design like this. The big issue for most people then will no doubt be the price. Since Sakura Wars belongs to Sega, this figure is significantly more expensive than the average Bandai model kit. Essentially, you're paying master grade money for a fancy high grade. And because of that, I just can't help but feel like they could have done that little bit more. Like up the color accuracy a little bit, include some extra hands, something. For fans of the series or the machine, it is definitely worth getting, but for most other people, you might want to look elsewhere. And with how obscure Sakura Wars still is in the West, I'm afraid that is going to be a substantial portion. So for some size comparisons then, here it is next to the Desert Gunner to make the price of this kit feel way more justified, and the Master Grade Zaku 2 High Mobility Type R2 Johnny Raiden Custom, a Gunpla that is actually slightly cheaper than the Obu. And then finally, here it is next to the standard sized Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. And that has been all for this review of this chonky samurai mech. If this thing caught your attention, the link to buy one is down below. And as always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.